What's going on, YouTube? It's your main man Bishop again. So, video number 2. A little bit of an introduction and why I decided that I wanted to get into trucking. So, I have a background in security and law enforcement. I've been doing it since I was 16. The main reason, really the only reason, is because there's no money in law enforcement. There's no money in security. I love the field. I love the uniformity. I love the prestige, the organizational standards. I love all of that. But unfortunately, in 99.29% of all security jobs, you're underpaid, overworked, and underappreciated. So that being said, I decided I wanted to get into something where I could at least work, get paid based on my work ethic, and be able to grind. I mean, nobody wants to work hard every day and then not make a living that's comfortable. So I said that trucking would give me the opportunity to do something that I love to do, which is travel and move, but also make the money that I need to make in order to, simply provide for my family. So I decided I wanted to get into trucking. So last October in 2014, I went ahead and got my CDL learner's permit and kind of held off on it. I didn't really do anything with it because I was able to get my own security business back started. So I went ahead and I did that for a while, and then clientele fell off and the market's bad and all the other nonsense. So this year, I guess it was February, I said, let me take another look into the trucking. Let me see if I can find some schools, get some information, just in case my self-employment thing didn't work out. So I found a school. There's actually 3 local schools here in the Richmond, Virginia area. And I got to digging. I actually went and visited the schools and tried to make an informed decision. It's not cheap, but also I wanted to make sure I was going to learn what I need to learn. I'd never driven a truck before, never been inside a truck before. I never even had any experience with a manual transmission. So I was as completely green as they come. They don't come no more green than I was. So I said, man, I gotta go somewhere where they're gonna actually teach me something, because if they don't teach me anything, I won't know anything. And having that massive truck with all 53-foot of trailer, and I'm guessing another 17 and a half feet of tractor, you don't really want to be taking on the interstate, and you're not comfortable because you didn't learn anything. So I found a local school, and the school I chose to go to was Shipper's Choice of Virginia. And the Shipper's Choice of Virginia location I went to was in Chester. And let me tell you, man, the instructors there were golden. Shout out to Barry, shout out to George and Dennis, aka Gunny, and Miss Laura, and also my recruiter Kevin. The other George, Haitian George, and man, Ash, man. I mean, the instructors were the epitome of perfection, man. They taught me everything I know. They taught me everything I needed to know. They kept me encouraged. All those things that you need to even have a chance, because for one, without the teaching, there is no driver. Like I said, I had no experience whatsoever, so I was a blank canvas, and I needed every bit of advice I could get. First day was horrible in the truck. Grinded gears, could barely get it in gear. As time went on, I ended up getting it and getting smoother, and got to the point where when I got inside the truck, I drove it like it was my car. I knew it like the back of my hand. It wasn't about thinking. It wasn't about trying to make sure I had it. It was just performing the mechanics. So big shout out to Shipper's Choice of Virginia. Like I said, they taught me everything I needed to know, man. They were great. So I definitely appreciate them for everything they've done for me and helping me learn. Another thing about them I liked, which I didn't know with a lot of schools, was they financed my loan. So I didn't have to pay all the money out of pocket, and it made it easier for me to make it work, because it was like, hey, basically you got to come up with a little bit of a deposit, and you'll just pay it back month by month. And with a vast majority of the companies now have in tuition reimbursement, the larger companies, they said basically you may come out of your pocket $20, $30 a month, if anything, if you stay with a company and get the tuition reimbursement program. So that was good for me. That's why I like Shipper's Choice. And when we first started, we had a huge class. I mean, classroom was so tight that you could barely breathe in air. There was so many people in the class, man. But as time went on, and people failed to get their CDL learner's permit, unfortunately, the class dwindled down, and the people who weren't getting it as quick as they thought they would, they fell out of the class. So the class size dropped dramatically. I mean, I think we started with like 35 students or something like that, maybe even 40 students, and ended up with like 16 or 17 of us. So that gave us more truck time, more instruction time, made it easier to learn, made it easier to to get your questions asked and answered, and more time to practice. So you didn't have to really fight through long lines and get in trucks, which was a huge problem when we first got there. Not enough equipment. Great instructors, but they were fighting a losing battle with equipment, man. So as time went on, they got the equipment together, got more trucks out, and less drivers, which means, and they actually added instructors. So man, it kind of covered all the bases. With more trucks, less students, and more instructors, you can get everything you need to get done. So it was a great experience, man, and I completely appreciate them for all they did. So once again, big shout out to Shipper's Choice, Chester location. So after that, I finished the class. I was in class from March the 17th until April 10th. It's a 4-week course. I went full time, so I was going Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. And it's a 4-week class. I found out later on that, hey man, DMV is behind. So my original test date for my DMV skills test was not until May 26th. And that's something I didn't know in the beginning, which I wish they had been a little bit more forthcoming with that in the beginning. Virginia is not accustomed to having snow in this area. We had a lot of massive snow, so it pushed DMV back almost a month and a half. So while I was in class, you had guys coming to test that hadn't been in school for a month and a half, 2 months, hadn't even been in a truck. So that was tough for them, but I decided I wasn't going to go through that. So what I did was, I did the smart thing. Shipper's Choice actually has the privilege of nearly sharing the parking lot for the test center. So like for instance, literally you have the Shipper's Choice yard where we do all our practice, curb backing, straight backing, all that kind of good stuff. And literally less than 10 feet away, only separated by a 5-foot road and 2 guardrails in the same private parking lot, is the DMV test lot. So I was actually, and a lot of my classmates were actually able to just show up to the school and just see if we can test. So I actually tested less than a week and a half after I graduated. So it was perfect. You didn't have to wait. If I went to another school that was further away, I had to wait till a truck was available. I had to wait till my test date, because of course if I showed the DMV and they said, yeah, we can test you, but I don't have a truck here, I had to coordinate with the school and all this other nonsense that would have never worked out. The great thing about Shipper's Choice was they wanted us to test, they want us to pass. So if they can get us in, especially Barry and George, if they could get us in, they went and talked to the DMV testers and asked, hey, do you have an open spot? You have another person testing? Is there anyone who canceled? I have somebody who's ready to test. They did 120% everything that they could do to try to get you ready to test. And then they furthered it by actually getting you test dates that you weren't supposed to qualify for. So, like I said, I can't shout out Shipper's Choice enough. On my next video, I'm going to go ahead and get into what happened with my DMV testing, how I got my CDL, all that kind of good stuff. So, YouTube, I appreciate it. One love is Bishop.